Today's episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast is brought to you by Poor Richard's Cafe and Star Local Media. Poor Richard's Cafe, Plano's oldest restaurant since 1973. They are open daily from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., serving the three most important meals of the day: breakfast, lunch, and dessert. It is true Texas home-style cooking made with love and grit. That is Poor Richard's Cafe, located off of Avenue K in Plano. Welcome to another episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. My name is Matt Welch, being joined by Taylor Raglin and Bryan Murphy. It is Thursday, gentlemen, so I guess as has been the case for the past few weeks, let's pull an entry from our ongoing summer question series for the last time. So next week we're going to start officially diving into high school football previews. We'll break down a couple of our classifications next week, but in the interim, let's pull two more entries from the ongoing question series, and actually two questions that won't be answered, at least in print, for another couple weeks. So a little bit of a sneak preview. So let's see. The first question, and this is a really basic one, pretty simple. What is something that you're looking forward to for the upcoming high school sports year?
Press box food. So there's like an ongoing joke with us. I mean, they don't know about it, but we all do. At the Star, which a lot of the games I cover, I'm really fortunate, which is awesome. I look forward to watching plenty more games at the Star this year. So that's on my list also. But at the same time, the Star and Toyota Stadium, they don't have press box food, and because I think it's not. I don't think FISD runs it. It's more of the whoever is running the press box at that stadium, and they just don't give us high school media members love, or I guess some of us don't get any love, or maybe I don't know where they are. Sometimes there's, I think, Canes or something
in the VIP suite for the administrative folks.
Yeah, Jerry Jones is just hiding it away at the Star, but no, there's no food there, but I might make some trips out to Tommy Briggs at the Colony, because they play Lone Star there this year.
You're saying you're playing your schedule based on?
Well, I mean, I'm definitely going to be at Lone Star at the Colony. Dinner. That's something else I'm looking forward to. But yeah, no, I remember Lake Dallas had a good spread last year. I think it was Chick-fil-A. That's what I'm.
A lot of Canes running around the PISD stadiums. But
Little Elm always has a great spread. It's either barbecue, and then they'll have some salads.
Where have I heard? I've heard mythical things about. Is it Mesquite ISD? Yeah. That's Mesquite.
Like the best,
gosh, the class of the state. I haven't been out there yet.
I went there for a playoff game. Salina played one of those East Texas schools a couple years ago, and I went out there. And Devin, he was out there doing something else, and he kind of told me, he was like, "Hey, come hungry," and I was like, "I'm not used to this." I'm used to showing up to maybe a water cooler if I'm lucky. And
hey, you get nachos at Memorial.
That's true. The nachos and hot dog is undefeated at FISD Memorial. Maybe because I go in not spoiled, but the games there, I always stuff my face with two things of nachos and a hot dog or two. But yeah,
with Mesquite, it's like I've been there times when they've had like full-on chicken fried steaks and mashed potatoes, and at the very end of the line they have full-size candy bars. They take care of the media so well up in Mesquite, and it is one of the underrated perks of covering high school football, especially in the higher classifications, is that most of the venues that we attend on Friday nights, they cater to the media and the coach and the scouts and whatnot. And it's be it in Plano or Allen. I mean, we've been pretty fortunate in our neck of the woods, but it's press box food is always a nice little benefit come the fall.
I can't wait to see what Prosper's new stadium has, because I mean that's another thing I'm looking forward to. Checking out that new stadium.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Salina's almost done too.
Yep.
I drive by going to see my parents a lot.
And Gunner. Yep. So Salina, their new facility, Prosper's new facility. A couple years ago, I was outside on the visitors' side of the stadium when Little Elm played Prosper. Luckily, it didn't rain or it wasn't cold. It was like early October, so it wasn't too bad. But no food, and I was outside. Now I get to go to this luxurious, Prosper Stadium. So I'm excited about that too.
Where was it? Reynolds Middle School that they had played their games at?
And it was just behind the middle school.
Oh yeah. Games. Didn't you have to cover a game there, Taylor, where you had to sit on the other end and just out among the masses?
I think that was actually in Princeton maybe?
Okay.
I think I covered Lake Dallas at Princeton on a really, really bad weather night, and for whatever reason the Princeton press box was full, so I was in the visitor side, and then it was delayed until like 9:30.
That was the only time I had ever had to cover a Prosper game up at Reynolds Middle School. It was back when they were, I believe, like just a 3A school, and they were playing Lovejoy, and the press box was full, so I had to sit over in the visitor side of the stands with my laptop, just bleeding away the battery and whatnot. So it'll be nice to actually get a nice, like, comfortable, normal press box covering Prosper for the foreseeable future. Taylor, what's something that you're looking forward to for the coming school year?
Man, I feel like I get to just cop out on this question every year because I just choose 9-6A baseball. But it's every year it's something I really look forward to because you guys give me a hard time because you guys always look forward to basketball season. We all look forward to football season.
We gravitate to the sports that we like just in general.
We love football season. When that's done, you guys are spoiled because you go right into basketball, and I feel like I'm greatly outnumbered in that department in this office.
No
but as the resident baseball guy, 9-6A doesn't ever disappoint, and it shouldn't this year either. It's always competitive. It's always some of the best talent in the state. It's fun. There's some great facilities. Jesuits in the district. It's great to go cover games out there. I mean, they make it as easy as any program in the state. They have sports information director and a nice. They
run it like a college program.
Oh man, it's fantastic, and so just it's really basic. But I look forward to baseball and softball as well, rolling around every year. But particularly baseball, with that being in my background and everything, and it should be another really good year. Boyd, was a surprise this year. I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch. Tyler Collins is really fun to watch. And just outside of that, it's going to be tight this year, I think. It'd be fun to see what Prosper and Allen, continue to do. Jesuit, like I mentioned, and all that good stuff. So it's a wait until springtime for me.
Yeah, if we could just get you in a mode where one of these teams, kind of like a Lake Dallas last year, just makes a dream run, so we can extend your baseball coverage as long as possible.
Hey man, I enjoyed it this year. It was fun.
I can't imagine what that must have been like for Kendrick having to go through that Boyd run just every week with all of just the ups and downs and the surprises. I mean, what a special year. It'd be fascinating to see how that team builds off of that. If this is officially a turning of the corner for the Boyd baseball program, and they enter next season as a potential.
Tyler Collins is in that upper tier of players, I think, and most teams have at least one of those guys, and the impact that he has in particular is really nice at the top of the order and playing in the outfield, really important position. He's electric. So we'll see.
As like I said, I usually default towards something basketball related, and I'm not going to for this. Although I will say that if there is something basketball, of note to focus on there, obviously last season it was just getting hyped to see 3 McDonald's All-Americans in the same district and all the star power in 9-6A girls. This year, though, I think that just if you want a fun team to watch next year, I think the Allen boys have a chance to be a really exciting team. There's a lot of bouncy, a lot of athletes that can fly on that team. Be it Manny Obaseki, Thailand Elder, Bryce Kennedy. If you get there before the games, you'll often see them throw down some dunks that you just don't see kids execute at the high school level. Really, really exciting stuff. But maybe it's just because we're getting right up on the edge of the season. But I'm getting the juices flowing from football season, man, and I'm really excited to see. I think we've talked ourselves into District 9-6A football being just beyond Allen, just really clad in parity.
Pretty wide open. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things I considered for this question as well, is just we look forward, like I said, to football every year because it's Texas high school football, and it's fun to cover and fun to see how things shake out. But particularly with 9-6A this year, there's just so much. It's just a mystery.
There's so much unknown.
Like outside of even Allen. Yeah. I mean, Allen's going to win the district because they're Allen, and they roll over better than any team, in the state, arguably, just with the amount of players that they have and the student body. But even Allen is a bunch of question marks. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
I feel like you could throw 2 through 6 in a hat and just pick one, and they'll finish second. The next one they'll finish third. The next one will finish fourth. Like McKinney, are they going to do what they did last year? Jesuit, one of the best offensive players in the area, right there. Yeah. And then Prosper, how are they going to respond in year number 2 and 6A? It's going to be fun.
That'll be one of the questions, I guess, later on, is who do we think is the second best team in the district entering the season? And you might literally get 4 different answers from the 3 of us and Kendrick.
I think you would. Yeah. Because I don't know.
And according to Kendrick, Boyd should be even better. So, I mean...
Oh, yeah. You got to think that they'll be improved just with what, head coach Joe McBride, his track record. But, yeah, like, I just love it when we go into sports where we don't know a whole lot. When there's so many questions that need to be answered, because I just love that element of the unknown, just getting to learn new things about these teams heading into a season. It's one thing when you already have an idea, like, oh, okay, like Allen's going to maul everybody and whatnot. And that's
we
fine.
knew Plano East was going to be good last year, high-flying. We knew Prosper brought back enough to compete. I think some of us discounted them more than Bryan did, but I think this is going to be one of those years where we look back on our predictions and just like, wow, yeah, we had no idea. And it's not that we could have had an idea. It's just going to be one of those years where everything just feels like it's up in the air.
Because you look across, team by team, so many teams are breaking in new quarterbacks. You have some teams like Allen that graduated nearly its entire starting defense. Plano East graduated nearly its entire receiving core, essentially, and the quarterback.
East basically brings back two guys that were regular starters every single week, and Kayvon Hamilton and Trey Jones Scott, one on each side of the ball. And there's some other ones that mixed in rotations and played a lot. But yeah, there's a lot of teams that are going to look completely different.
It's comparable to Bryan, you and I are NBA fans, so just the NBA offseason and how so many teams just changed over the summer. It feels like a brand new league, and it's kind of the same way with District 9 6A. Again, we just kind of give Allen the benefit of the doubt and expect them to run roughshod on everybody, but who knows? Those first couple games against Cedar Hill and Dickinson, those are teams that are ranked in the state's top 15 to begin the season. That is the toughest 1-2 punch that Allen has ever had to begin a season, and it'll be very telling as far as kind of where they're at. And I was telling you, Bryan, it is a shame that in years past when you had Denton Geyer in the same district as Allen, that's not the case now, because if there was a ready-made foil to potentially make Allen sweat it out a little bit. It sounds like this Geyer team is maybe the best team that they've had since Gerard Hurd was on campus. But nevertheless, between just beyond Allen, you have so many other teams that it feels like just every week, if you power rank these teams, it's going to be a different order. And I don't know, I'm just fascinated to see how it all shakes out, because it's high school football in Texas, and when you add that much more mystery and circumstance to it, it's just that much more exciting for us. We don't know what to expect going in. That is at least some things that we are looking forward to for the upcoming high school sports year. Got one more question, and I'm excited to see where this one goes, and we will get to that after a word from the sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Star Local Media. 14 newspapers and websites with a print distribution of 270,000 homes and monthly page views of 600,000 online. Star Local Media, your community voice for news. And now, let's get back to the podcast. Welcome back, and let's round out one last entry from our summer question series, and this one is always on the last entry of questions that we have for the summer, and it's always a fun one to see where this one goes. What is one bold prediction that you have for the upcoming high school sports year?
Man, bold predictions. I guess I'll go first, and it's going to seem weird, I think, to say that a football team winning multiple games, and by multiple I literally mean greater than one, is a bold prediction. But with Plano West, I think it is. I think that with Tyler Sokup coming in, inside the program, there's going to be some expectations, but externally, they're 0-26. You can't expect him to come in and immediately be able to turn around that program to the extent of, they even go 4-6, 3-7, 5-5 is, they might as well, they consider that. You get a trophy, put a plaque on the wall. It's the expectations are probably externally as low as they could possibly be, and there is a much greater than 0% chance that they just go 0-10 again. And could still consider that year a success, because it's about the way you go 0-10. It's about how competitive you are. It's about tempering expectations in Sokop's first year and saying, he has, I've mentioned this on the podcast before, he's got a longer leash than most would, especially, it's his first year. He's completely turning a program around that is so far off the rails that, it's going to take 2 to 3 years to even be relevant again, I would think. But yeah, there's still some chance that they pick up 2 or 3 wins this year. Maybe if they just sneak up on some teams. McKinney, last season that game was closer than a lot of people thought it would be. And depending on what McKinney does this year as far as continuing that momentum or kind of floundering and having a little bit of a sophomore slump, that could be one. Some of their non-district games I don't think are very winnable, but Mesquite's another program that's upward trending, but at the same time had some real stinkers last year, and I think that they're much better than Plano West, but who knows? Maybe it's a weird night. A lot of things can happen, especially in non-district play when you're just trying to establish yourself and an identity. So, yeah, I mean, it's weird to call it a bold prediction that Plano West will win more than one football game, but when you're 0 for 26, I think you're pretty going out there to say that they will be at least 2-8. So I could see it happening, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's my hot take. I think Soka wins a couple.
I want to piggyback off you. Teams that went 0-10 last year in football. Frisco Liberty. Well, I kind of have 3 bold predictions. So mild.
Just a hot take machine over here.
Mild, medium, and hot. And I'm going to lead up to hot. But my mild, bold prediction is that Liberty, they're going to win at least 2 games this year as well. Last year, they lost a non-district game in overtime, double overtime, to Creekview. Creekview obviously was not very good. That could have gone either way. I don't think Creekview is any better this year. Liberty has new head coach. Granted, he's been there in Matt Sweeney for the last 5 years as a coordinator. But I think they'll figure Creekview out. I'm locking that in as a win. And then their non-district schedule really isn't that tough. I mean, North Garland could be pegged to make the playoffs in that 10-6A district. They play them first. But then they play Sherman, a team they lost to 19-0 last year. And a team, you mentioned like a McKinney or something in 9-6A, a team that they could maybe upset or play a really close game with would be Heritage. Heritage loses Jason Falkenberry, their big pro-style quarterback. They have some question marks there. That last year, that game was 48-31. So Liberty, an offense that really struggled last year, was able to put up 31 points against Heritage. So that could be another game there. That could be closer than it was last year. Could be closer than what some people think. So Liberty, I wouldn't be surprised if they end the year maybe 2-8, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay. What is the
I'll stick with football. So my medium hot take, and I know I didn't discuss this with y'all before.
Ooh.
I think
did this just come to you?
Kinda, but I've been thinking about it, and I actually sent so in Dave Campbell's big football preview, they predict the district standings months in advance, and that's always hard to do. But they predicted Lone Star to finish ahead of the Colony, and the Lone Star is top 5 in the state right now in 5A Division I. And I even texted our own Justin Thomas, R.I.P. To Justin, to JT.
He's not actually.
And I told him, I was like, hey, Lone Star is going to get its revenge. And not only are they going to get its revenge, they're going to go undefeated.
Ooh.
And they're going to beat the Colony by double digits when they play.
That's trending towards
the Colony. That's a bit of a bold prediction.
And then did you have a lava take over there?
I kind of had a lava take, but I'll let Matt go first.
Sure. With mine, I went back and forth. It's tough to come up with what a bold prediction would be for like Allen or anything.
Yeah, well, that was part of the reason that.
Like I'm not going to be an idiot and say like, oh, Allen's wrestling state title streak's getting snapped or anything like that. That's just dumb. But ultimately, I landed on this, and actually, am going away from Allen, going away from Plano, and all the way out to Denton County to a little old school in Corinth called Lake Dallas, which is far and away the smallest school in District 8 5A. They barely scratch the surface of a 5A high school. I think that there's at least a roadmap when all is said and done at the end of the 2019-2020 school year when you look back on District 8 5A and say that Lake Dallas, despite sharing a district with the Colony, Little Elm, some of the Denton ISD powerhouses, you're going to look back and say that Lake Dallas had the best overall athletic share of any school in 8-5A. Now I said, you gotta, it's gonna require, because I think, first off, I think you can make a case that, pound for pound, maybe last year that they did as much as anybody in that district. When you factor in that they made the playoffs in 5 of the 8 standings-based sports, they won a district title, and they made deep playoff runs in boys soccer and baseball. How many schools in that district can even say that to begin with? The biggest competition, though, in terms of overall success, though, is the Colony. The Standard Bearer, one of the most well-rounded athletic programs at the 5A level as far as the Dallas area goes, and it's going to require the Colony to maybe fall short of expectations in a couple areas. Lake Dallas is going to have have to make the playoffs in all 5 of the sports that they did last year, plus ones like girls soccer that they missed out on and whatnot. They'll have to add probably another district title along the way as well, and all while boys soccer, baseball, maybe football, volleyball are able to piece together some extensive playoff runs. But I think there's at least a roadmap when you look at just the continuity that a lot of those programs have. Like, it wouldn't be insane to think, like, even for as much star power as the Colony's girls basketball team has with Jewel Spear and Tamia Jones, Lake Dallas played them really close last year.
Those games were competitive last year, and I think there's 3 or 4 main roadblocks to this happening. Obviously you look at the Colony girls basketball and softball, going to be really, really good. You got to go around them somehow, get through them, or have them stumble. I think the Colony will be better at football, obviously. So you got to, and they don't match up completely, but you got to figure how those compare. And then Little Elm, not only in softball but in girls soccer too, is another roadblock. So, like you said, if you get some stumbles from 3 or 4 of those teams,
and I'm not even talking about unseating those teams, like just make the playoffs in a sport like girls soccer that you didn't last year. Yeah, Little Elm's still going to be the standard bearer there, but but even like football, like the Colony won their district last year and then went one and done because they ran up against Mansfield Timberview. That district's still going to be a bore, next postseason as well. So if Lake Dallas can get a more favorable seed and not draw Corsicana like they did, last season, then perhaps things work out for them there. But I don't know, just with the kind of the youth movement that's been flowing throughout that program, there's a lot of teams that have a bunch of carryover from last season.
4 new head coaches.
And yes, there will be that, but nevertheless, though, I think there's at least a roadmap to where when all's said and done, Lake Dallas could be the best overall athletics program. You got to squint again. The Colony's got to fall short in a couple sports that, girls basketball and softball that they otherwise might be expected to dominate.
The state titles too is really like the Colony softball. If they go win state, then you don't overcome. You got to stay.
But you know what? It's a bold prediction for a reason,
and it could happen. I could honestly.
It's not impossible.
Nope.
Brian, let's round this out with your scorching hot take.
Well, what isn't impossible is the fact that we could see a new district champion in girls basketball in 9-5A, one we haven't seen in years. Last at least 3 years, it's been Lone Star Liberty, Lone Star Liberty, Lone Star Liberty. Well, Liberty, they graduated, I think it was 8 seniors, 4 of their starters. Lone Star graduated 4 of their starters. Their MVP and Adriana Quezada. Katie Stinton is gone. Coach Muncie comes in from Waco Midway and Mansfield Timberview. So they're in good hands there, but it's hard to say Lone Star and Liberty are in rebuilding stages because they still have some good players. Kyla Deck, Mia Deck's little sister, she was a big-time player as a freshman. Jazzy Owens Barnett for Liberty. She could be an MVP candidate this year as a sophomore. But Centennial, they bring back some firepower. Brad Blaylock has been doing a good job, with that program. Frisco Memorial is going to be a team to watch. Coach Rochelle Vaughn led them to the playoffs last year. She came from Liberty. She was one of Ross Reedy's assistants. Coach Reedy, if you see this, please don't call me. Don't bombard me. But Rochelle Vaughn, after they lost to Wiley East in the first round last year with their best player, Jasmine Lott, who was only a freshman, she was banged up that game. She had an injured foot. And I found that out after the game. And she still dropped double digits, but she didn't play to her capabilities. They almost beat Wiley East, and after the game, Vaughn told me something about, she gave me a really good quote. It's not verbatim, but something along the lines of, well, we're coming for everybody next year. And I was like, okay, it's strong, but they're a good young program, already going to the playoffs with mainly freshmen and sophomores. Don't be surprised if Frisco Memorial wins that district.
I wonder how many coaches in our coverage area have more stops within our markets than Coach Vaughn. She was an assistant under Don Patterson at Plano West for a while. She was the head coach at McKinney Boyd for a few years before moving on to a couple stops in Frisco. That'd be because I saw that team during a tournament game against Rowlett, and just looking over the composition of their roster, and that's a team that definitely played way above their heads for as many youngsters as they had on the court. Interesting to see. So a potential changing of the guard coming in Frisco ISD girls basketball.
Don't be surprised if it's Centennial Memorial or Memorial Centennial 1-2.
I wonder what would have been some bold predictions at this time last year that would have actually panned out. all right, I think a perfect example of a bold prediction that actually would have worked was if you, for example, would come in saying, okay, you know what? Prospect making the playoffs in every single team sport.
I tried to tell y'all.
Yeah.
Turns out.
What are the odds of that happening, Brian? That's silly talk.
A bold prediction, I would have said, maybe not this time last year, but going into basketball season, Little on boys basketball making a run at state. You know, why not?
Yeah.
The first time I saw Trey White play, you know, the first game of the year, and Coach Siegler, he warned me about it. He's like, stud freshman. And I'm like, what? From where? Comes in, you know, I wasn't expecting much. I was expecting, you know, a shy little freshman. No, 6'5" stud, and I saw that, and I almost made the prediction right there. Him and RJ Hampton, they're going to state. And then that's more of a what could have been.
How bold would it have been though if you go, okay, you know what? I don't have anything to base this off of, but I've just got an inkling of suspect that this is going to be RJ Hampton's last season of high school basketball, and he's not even going to be playing in college. He's actually going to go overseas.
Okay, that was insane.
Yeah.
Again, I have nothing to base that off of in mind. What a Nostradamus moment that would have been.
The reclassifying thing was kind of in the talks for a lot of the year, but the whole New Zealand thing, that was crazy.
So that is, it's always fun to throw around some bold predictions before the school year, and the odds that they work out. I mean, I can go back through in previous iterations of the question series, see if we've actually ever hit on one of these, but you know what? That's why we bold predictions.
In a year from now, or not even, we don't even have to wait a year, but in like 6-8 months from now, we'll have to go back and watch this to see how idiotic we sounded.
Yeah, and on that note, that'll do it for this episode of the Star Local Media High School Sports Podcast. Appreciate y'all for checking this out. We'll be back next week to begin previewing the upcoming high school football season. Should be a good time. Folks, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk to y'all later.